The Interdominions last night, an absolute one-horse race, as it turned out. This was complete domination, and we talk about in the build-up this week on the Sports Daily, and Marty, also on Drive when I caught up with you guys, just how completely dominant this horse Leap to Fame has been on the grand circuit with what it's done in its career to this point in time. And to see the contempt that it basically treated that field with last night was extraordinary. Grant Dixon, no getting involved in any early madness and getting locked up. Just let's drop back. I'll bring the horse into it when I feel like it. He did that. They handed over. And from that point onwards, he did have the feet up on the dash. There was a little bit of Joe Cocker music playing in the back of the sulky there, and it was game over. Leap to Fame absolutely destroyed them.
It was just different class, and just looking at the beast in splendid isolation, as they like to say, what a machine. But it's a new game, harness racing now. Like if you drew one in the old days, you just couldn't do that. But he was getting off the pegs the minute the wings went back, got it into clear running, went around, as you said, got to the front by then. No one took him on.
No.
Ran that third section in about a 27.6, just busted them open.
And
this is at the end of 3,200 metres.
Correct.
If you don't mind.
The rest are all gasping. He's had a small look over the shoulder, turned him home and said, I think we'll just jog on home from here. Well done. Well done, though, to all concerned. Grant Dixon, the horse of a lifetime, let's be honest. I mean, to be racing at that level and put up the numbers that this horse has, it's extraordinary. And there's the odd rare occasion in sport where you've just got a champion that is just simply better than the rest.
And
this is one of these rare moments.
Yeah. So if he can keep going for another couple of years, he'll just blow them all the records to the Shires, and he's now won the most stake money of any standard-bred Southern Hemisphere. In the trotters too, RC Phoenix from Victoria, Chris Svanozio. Listened to him before the race, and little Brittany said, Chris, feeling the pressure a bit, your hands are shaking. He said, yeah, I am actually.
Wow.
He said, this is special.
Awesome.
And then it all went to plan. He led. And
beautiful.
Oscar Bonavina was a big run. I thought Bet and Win down the back might have had the drop on RC Phoenix, but too good the leader.
And Marty, how good too that it does mean still so much to these guys. These drilled-on professionals that are working day in, day out, for them to still feel the pressure and really, it shows how much you care and love what you're doing when that's the case.
And a bit of chaff at the end of it all doesn't mind.
That doesn't hurt either, Marty.
Now, the British line's too good for us, but I thought the Wallabies must have went all right, 27-19. We'll talk to Sully about that. He always keeps an eye on the other code of rugby, the Open, and Scheffler, well, he had a 4 under. He's 14 under, 4 clear of Lee, the Chinaman. Where's our man? Hatton is 8 under. Rory McIlroy's just starting to make a little move, Rory. He's
Marty,
8
I was watching some of this last night. Now, there's very few other events you'll ever go to where the fans are as passionate and supportive of a player as what they are for Rory in this tournament. Every hole, they're following from hole to hole, the little fellas, the mums, the dads, the pops, the nanas, and every shot the man plays, they are just getting right around him. And it must be, like, you can almost see how humbled he is walking around hole to hole. Just, he sort of waves at everyone and he's high-fiving, and you can kind of, you must just feel like almost you're walking on air when you're playing quite well. And he made a little run there. I think he had 3 birdies in his first 4 holes there yesterday, and you could kind of see the guy just floating and thinking, that he must just be in the zone and thinking, what a world I'm in where all of these people are here and getting around me.
About to catch up with Sul just before we do. This text line's exploded early, so we need to get rid of a couple. I shouldn't say get rid of. We need to address a couple, I should say that.
Indeed. We love hearing from
And Snoz always opens the base. He's a good opening batsman, Snoz.
Like it, Snoz. Doesn't mind the new ball. Very, very happy to get him behind.
Doesn't worry him at all. He's got a bit of Graham Wood about him. Morning, Marty and Brad. It's Marty and Shorty. Reading the West paper every morning, it is time for the sports writers to have a look elsewhere other than read. Or is this a ploy from the club to retain his services? I myself, when I see these articles, I turn the page. There are many other AFL clubs to write about. My second question is about the disqualification of T-Biscuit. The lead bag flew off at the 50-metre, around the 50-metre post, and the horse was in front by a good margin, which was to see the saddle becoming loose. Would the 0.8 of a kilo made any difference to the result. Don't take the stewards taken overall look at the circumstances, margin where it occurred. Snoz, no, it's just a matter of when you weigh back in. If you weigh in incorrectly, then the horse will be disqualified. They can still call for the bridle now, and they couldn't get the weight up. We saw it. It was all graphic. They caught it beautifully by the camera work.
Big style.
We knew where it happened, but you'd have to be a world famous physicist to be able to work out deducting that weight versus time versus how far it was in front, how much ground did the other horse make up. So you can't do that.
It's so
the rules are the rules.
Correct. Yep. And it is the same for everyone. And it's horrible when it happens. I'm not going to walk away from that, Marty. It's as a punter, I think it's happened maybe once or twice in my lifetime, and it's a hollow feeling post-race. You've kind of already in your mind visited the ticket window and collected your winnings, and then all of a sudden you hear the old siren go and you think, I didn't see any interference late, and then, oh dear, not the old lead bag. And it's a horrible feeling.
This one was well covered. I've got to say, I was a bit surprised the team, and I'm not having a shot, 7+ were there, but they didn't cover it. And it was left to Macca and us on the drive, working in with Macca.
I thought it was great radio.
Exactly.
As horrible as the result was, it was really well covered. And as a punter, you just want to know what's happening. And you guys covered it beautifully.
No, and well done. And Mac's working with binoculars from the grandstand, looking into the stewards and the weighing in and weighing out area. So, but we got there in the end. But unfortunately, the result not there. You got to feel for young Holly Noddle, because it's happened to her twice now in a month.
It's just brutal. It'd be devastating with a young lady. Look, let's just hope they find a way to lock it down. But it's in the history of racing, unfortunately, occasionally it does happen.
Got plenty of texts to get through, but we've got James Sullivan with us as well. G'day, Sul.
Hello, Marty. Hello, Shorty. Morning, listeners. Now, Shorty, when's the weather going to change in Ireland? Come on. We want it windy. We want it rainy. We want some real golf.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you're over there in the crowd, Sul, I'd be pretty happy just status quo, more of the same, thank you. You've been watching a little bit. What about the crowd support for Rory McIlroy? He must just feel like Superman going around from hole to hole, Sully.
Yeah, no surprises there. So, it's building up, but I want to see the famous wind, the rain. Come on, let's make it a real open.
Now, so before we get into the NRL, the first of the internationals last night, British Lions 27 beat the Wallabies 19. I think we went all right, didn't we?
Yeah, finished well. It was 17-5 at half-time. The Lions dominated possession in that first 40 minutes. That was young Jorgensen scored a try, but we finished well. That was the thing. We'll take that into the second test. Of course, 12 years since the British Irish Lions are here, so it's massive, sold-out crowd at Suncorp, but we sort of didn't have much of a game plan, Marty.
Okay.
And that's the bit we look like you watch the Lions, as I said, they dominated possession in that first 40 minutes, and you expect them to. They've been a bit lumpy as well, sort of starting the tour, but no, mate, in the end of the score is respectable. But I'd like to see us just be a little bit more planned for the next test. Just
quickly, Sully, this is one of the great sporting traditions anywhere. So it's a big deal at the Olympics, and you've got to wait 4 years. This tour's every 12 years, so you can be a generational superstar of the sport and still miss it almost. But for these guys that come on this tour and the associated tour groups that are here, what it does for tourism, what it does to help boost the profile of rugby, it is huge. And it's one thing that it's unique to rugby, but it's a really special event. And you've been following the caper for a significant period, and I personally think there's room in a bunch of different games for these unique sort of events where you get countries coming together for a very special sporting event. And this is one in particular that when it does happen every 12 years, it really does capture the attention of an awful lot of people.
And it's Australia-wide. You know, that they've played in Perth, they've played in Adelaide, they've played in Canberra. Last night in Brisbane, they go to Sydney and Melbourne. They're playing at the MCG, which is, that's a great point. And I tell you what, Australian tourism, aren't we taking some money out of the UK this year? Got the Ashes coming up next.
Yeah. So when they were here in Perth playing the friendlies, there was said around 10,000 following them there. You know what it is? By the time they get to the MCG, 30,000 will have come across to follow them from city to city, and you put that amount of money, into the cities, it's a lot of coin because
huge.
I tell you what, they're not going in and having a cup of tea. These are serious pint drinkers. They're about 15 to 20 easy.
Oh dear, and they like it. Not bad on the fang either. They've got to eat. They've got to eat while they're here as well. Don't worry about that. And you've got to take home some presents for the loved ones that haven't been able to make the trip. So it makes for a real booming time for our economy when events like this happen. Sullivan, it makes me wonder whether they've tried to potentially maybe tinker with that 12-year bracket and flip it down to a 4 or a 6, given how popular it is.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, it's the mixture of countries, isn't it? It's your England, it's your Wales, it's your Ireland, and it's your Scotland, all come together. That's the big thing with it.
It is
and you
true,
mentioned just quickly there, you mentioned there before, Shorty, some of the greats of the game have never played for the British Irish Lions.
Correct.
O'Driscoll from Ireland just popped straight into my head. The centre who was a superstar, never played for the British Irish Lions.
And I bet you, given the chance, I bet it would have been one of his career highlights.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, let's start with this defeat. You half smelt this, I reckon, when we spoke on Friday night. Storm 16, Sea Eagles 18, and this is in Melbourne.
Yeah, I did. I really, really did, and it all came down to a late penalty, and the bottom line is people are saying, Harry Grant touched the leg of Lukey Brooks. And I'll tell you the one thing with this. Luke Brooks, give him credit, did not milk it one bit. I've seen some players, when they put a kick through, the player the defending player comes through, touches the leg, and they milk it like no tomorrow. Luke Brooks just bounced, just got up. I think he knew, and Harry knew. And the bottom line, you touch the leg now, when a bloke's put a kick through, it's a penalty. And it's a penalty on the spot and 2 minutes to go. But it was they led 16-6 at half time, Manly, and I did think that. You're right, Marty. I thought, it's one of those games, a little bit of an ambush. You're going to get them at the right time. Xavier Coates, unbelievable, a hat trick.
Hat trick, yeah.
And some of them, we all know he's a leaper.
Yeah.
We all know how good he is, but there was a length of the field try. Jerome Hughes did an intercept. Anderson goes up the right edge. He's run out of room, and he just looks up, and he sees on the left edge the lanking body of Xavier Coates and hits him. That was in the 64th, and then the leaping try. But, credit where credit's due. I just saw Jakey Travojevic, one of the most passionate rugby league men I know that plays the game. He's walked into the dressing room after the game, and he's just kicked the bottles. And he's jumping, he's that excited. Mate, 2019 is the last time the Sea Eagles beat Melbourne in Melbourne. And it broke the duck. They were going for 11 in a row and Amy. Big win. As we said, they were 3-3 going into that game, the Sea Eagles. And that just resurrects things, and they're in the 8. That's the main thing.
They're 7th currently.
Bellamy post-match as well was scathing. He was as filthy as I've seen him in a long time. He came in and said, 5 minutes in, I could tell you that we were never going to win that game. There were shortcuts that we were trying to take from the start of the game to the end of the game. And when you try and take shortcuts in life, and that's what for him, I can see why he's such a great coach, because it's more than just about the game. It's like, we've got to be better humans, not just better players. You can't take shortcuts and expect to get the result. And this might be a win that helps the Storm in the long run to just straighten them up heading in towards the final, Salt.
And Shorty and Marty, and you'll remember, and Marty in particular, remember this. This is about this time of the year where he starts to put the miles in their legs.
Yeah.
Bellamy. We always talk about that round 20, 21, 22, where they're a little bit lumpy, but they were dumb last night. That's the right word.
Yep.
Like even Big Nelson with the elbow, he was filthy on that, Bellamy. As he said, there's no need for it. They were dumb.
Yep.
And that's what Bellamy hates.
All right, the Bulldogs, 20, defeated the Dragons, 18. They led 16-8 at half-time.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be talking to Shane Flanagan this morning, the Dragons coach, because they went into this game and they'd lost. Before this game, they'd lost 5 games by 6 points or less. They got beat by 7 points last week, and they lose last night in the last while. Jethro Rinakama, the young boy, scores in the 77th minute. Terrell Sloan with one of the dumbest defensive plays I've seen. What was he thinking? Just open it up. Lachlan Galvin, they're going, he's a superstar. Mate, he threw a pass. Fair income. on the back of a dumb, honestly, he wasn't happy, but they've been a little bit lumpy. These wins at this time of the year, you just take, forget about it and restructure. They weren't good in the second half, the Bulldogs. But at the end of the day, they got the 2 points.
Indeed, as did the Canberra Raiders. They had the feet up on the dash a fair way from home. 40-16, 7 separate tries on the night. Jamal Fogarty, very good, converting 6 from 7. And the Raiders march on their merry way, and the woes continue for the Eels.
I'll tell you what, though, this was mad, this game, because as we know, the Raiders coming off the bye, they score in the third and the sixth, and then all of a sudden, Parramatta get on a roll. They lead 16-12. And then they're cruising along nicely, and then all of a sudden the Raiders go, we better flick the switch. 72nd, 77th, 79th. Just totally changed the game. Good crowd there at GIA yesterday as well. So, they're going along nicely. And I said to the boys on Thursday, if ever a team needed the bye, I thought it was the Raiders. So he'll be happy with that, Ricky. So, good win.
Okay, and the 2 Friday games, just very quickly before we get our 2 for today. Sharks 31 beat the Roosters 18, and the Panthers 32. Good for those busted up Rabbits 10.
Yeah, they are busted up, and that's the right word, Marty. We've got to give respect where respect's due. The bottom line is they've got a few out, but they're trying. The Sharks, I was impressed by that. Roosters had their opportunity, but I don't think we'll see Chad Townsend back in the 7 again, Marty. Fair dinkum. Yeah, time's caught up with your son. So, Sharks will take that win.
Indeed. Let's have a look. Sunday action. So midday, it's the West Tigers $1.60. Gold Coast $2.33. That line's 3.5. All the money there. The Tigers to cover, win by 4 or more. That's into $1.80. And the over is at $1.91. 48.5 the line there. The late game, Newcastle $2.88. The Warriors $1.42. That line's at 7.5. And total points 43.5. The over's been crunched into $1.83 on that one. Give us your verdict on the 2 games for this afternoon.
Always a great day at Leichhardt to watch a couple of teams just score lots of points, I think. Between West Tigers and the Titans, they'll throw it around. It's a special day for the West Tigers today. They play their 100th game at Leichhardt.
Yep.
So they'll be hoping they can raise the bat, Shorty. I think they can. The only thing about it, the Titans have won 5 of their last 6 v West Tigers, but I don't think they've been awful. The Tigers of late, they've tried. They went to New Zealand last week. They were in the match. So I'll go the Tigers at Leichhardt. And the next game, well, it's one of those ones. Hadn't been a lot of points scored, these two sides. And they met in round 8 and the Warriors 26-12. So a bit going on at the Knights, but big news during the week. Kalen Ponga's staying.
Yes.
We'll get to see how much they respect Adam O'Brien today, this Knights side. That's the big thing, obviously, all the talk. They won 3 of the past 4, the Warriors. But over in Oz this year, boys, they're 6 from 8. I don't mind that. So I will go the Warriors in a game. I don't know if there's a lot of points scored. So Tigers and Warriors head-to-head's 227, but that's we can play with that if you want, link something up. But I don't mind. I'm going to go a match winner and total points over. I haven't done this one before. So the Tigers to win, total points is 49.5. I'm going to go that at 295 into the Warriors and the under. So match winner Warriors under 43.5. We'll get $8.55. And then Taylor May's on debut for the West Tigers today, the centre. So I think he'll score. And then the Warriors, Adam Pompey at $7.20. So Taylor May into Adam Pompey, $7.20. Score a try any time after a nice little collect on Friday night, Marty.
Yeah, well done. First in and the second one in as well. So it was a good double there on Friday night. So you're in form. Let's hope we can run out a very strong Sunday with a couple of funny old games. Geez, you're getting a bit leery with these bets now, aren't you? Hey?
Well, you've got to layer it up sometimes. People get bored.
I can't keep up with myself.
When you're playing these house with the house money, so you can do as you please, great man.
Well, sometimes it's a bit different. I know a few people like the overs plays, but we'll go that way and we'll see what happens. Look forward to 2 good games. I'm on my way to Sydney now, and it's a absolutely cracking morning. The sun's out, so it's going to be a beautiful day. So dry conditions, and you guys stay dry this afternoon by the sounds of that weather report.
Thank you very much. There he goes, James Sullivan. Listen to him on Thursday morning. We've got to get a cup. Now, we didn't address the first part of that text from Snoz about the West Australian covering Reed, etc., from the West Coast. Now, you read the West, I don't. What do you think about this?
It does get an awful lot of coverage, it must be said, but I think they put who they think will sell papers on the back page, and they did it with Nick Nat, to be fair. If you go back through that era, they probably did it with Benny Cousins through that era. They probably did it with Matt Pavlich when he was going well. The big players, they just like having on the back page because it grabs people attention. I personally think it's overkill. I don't think you're doing the young lad any favours overdoing it, but they are looking for stuff that's going to get people to click on their computer and get them in, and that's why, I would never make it as a newspaper journalist, from a tabloidish sort of style perspective, because these people have all got families and homes and loved ones and friends, and you got to be understanding of that. That's the case, and I'd be looking for positive stories rather than some of the stuff that just gets people clicking on stuff personally.
Plenty more text to get through on that Retrovision text line 0427 789 571.
Blah, blah, blah. Let Marty Young and David Shortte do all the talking on the Aftermath. Sunday morning at its best on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Yeah, about to catch up with Chris Nelson and review the meetings from Rose Hill and Eagle Farm. It is 23 minutes away from... Hello, we've got Chris here now. G'day, Chris.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty. Sorry, that was my fault. I was just waffling.
I was going to say sorry to interfere your conversation there with Soph, but that's okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
You'd be up and about with the Tigers there winning last night. Congratulations to you and all your Richmond fans out there. Good win.
It was a good win, and look, a lot better than last week's game, a lot more attacking than last week's game, and, just kept kicking goals, which is nice. So, yes, nice result to get over 100 points. It's not something we do a lot these days.
No, it's around 2023 is the last time you did it. Look,
wow.
5 wins you've got now.
I've gone past North Melbourne in the process. If people had said at the start of the year...
I had you down for 2 with a bit of luck.
Big time. Yeah, it's a big result, Chris, and I think because they've gone so young and they've clearly outlined what they were doing, what they've been able to do here is obviously keep some of the older players that around the place to nurture the young guys and show them how to play, and they're just blossoming in front of our eyes really quickly. And if you'd have told me at the start of the year they'd win 5 games, that would have been a pretty decent price if we were framing up a market for Richmond to win 5 games or more. So have to be pretty happy with that.
I think most people thought we'd win none. There was a school of thought that we'd go through the season winless. Mm-hmm. So it has been a bonus. And you can see some of those young guys, they're starting to find their way. There's still another, couple of years off being really good players, but at least you sort out which ones have got a future. And I think there's a few more to come in the draft at the end of this season as well. So
big time. And
as you said, Shorty, they put it out there at the start, and so they hadn't got any grief with some of the poor performances because it's sort of been expected.
And credit to the coach too, because he was under fire early. The fireball, old Kane Corns was lighting him up before a game was even played, saying you don't have enough. He just basically said you don't have enough sort of energy and upbeat stuff about you, And I kind of thought, geez, that's a whack before the season's even started.
He attacked his personality.
He did, and I kind of thought, well, that's a bit rough because he's got the youngest list here. They've, where they're at as a football club. They're not going to be contending for a premiership. He's got to throw his arms around them a little bit, and I think he's done a mighty job. So if you're going to whack someone, you have to make sure that you're prepared to go. I hope he flips around and gives him a pat on the back at the end of the year.
He's a scattergun approach, man.
He's not. He
gets everyone.
He's not known to flip around and give you a pat either. So
there's
I
no
wouldn't be expecting it, but never mind. Chris, let's get into the racing from yesterday. We had a busy program at Rose Hill. We're going to kick things off there with your thoughts on race number 2 on the program there yesterday. It was Harry's Bar of Jean Van Overmeer defeating Denman Star and Pretty Tarby.
Did I write down race 2? I should have written down race 3. So my apologies there, guys. Can we start with race 3?
Let's start with our old mate Shropshire lad.
Now, race 3 was a highway, and we don't talk about highways too often on a Sunday, and we nearly didn't there either. But Shropshire lad was too strong. But there was a good run here. This horse, First Landing, who ran second, if he doesn't get away with one of these races going forward, I'd be surprised. He'll go up in the weights next time, so they'll look for a claim, I would say. But, look, they did run along here. First Landing was 3 wide, no cover, on the good speed, and still had the audacity to dash away at the top of the straight there. Was clear at the 250, but was a sitting shot, and unfortunately, Shropshire Lad was the one that was able to run him down late. So gate 12, 61.5 kilos, sat 3 wide, no cover, was run down by a horse that had the soft front with 58.5. That was a very good run. We will be putting First Landing firmly in the black book.
Okay, race number 6, Waller, Zach Lloyd combined here with User Pin, the yes 3-year-old, I think it is, isn't it? Yes, it is. 3-year-old filly. Tell us about the win.
Well, they didn't go hard at all here. So User Pin sat about 4 lengths off them. Had some good form coming into the race, she did. She travelled up beautifully into the straight. She couldn't get away from them. I think that had a lot to do with the tempo of the race. Those leaders were happy to stick on or able to stick on. They went out in 37.9 and came home in 33.73. So it was a good effort to get up to them, and then it was a good effort to hold them on the line. However, the run of Tuileries was a ripper because he was back last, or she was back last, 3 wide. She gave them 6 lengths. She cut that margin back to less than a length on the line, all against the tempo of the race, and she was first up. And we know she's got a bit of a class about her, Tuileries, so we're going to stick with her. She was clearly the run of the race. But take nothing away from User Pin. That effort was also good.
It was really interesting. We had a chat to Pete Snowden on the Sports Daily on Friday about his runners for the weekend. And Tuileries was just into the odds-on range when we spoke to him. But when we discussed Tuileries, he didn't give us really strong push for the horse. And yet in the last King of Russo, he said, this is clearly my best runner of the day. And it was around about $4.55 at the time when we spoke to him. So he's a good judge of his horses. And while he didn't say Tuileries was no hope, he made the point that it'll be better for whatever it did there yesterday, which it clearly will. So you can probably start following it now and get your money back if you went hard on it yesterday. But, the other runner that he gave a nice push for, we'll touch on it and then go back to race 9. King of Russo in the last. This was a really nice performance. Kerguelen, runner-up, and Lil Contro. Geez, it's a very consistent place getter, but like the win here and like the confidence from the stable.
Yeah, look, he's a horse that always showed a lot, and I was convinced he was a wet tracker. And then I was quite keen on him one day. It was only recently on a heavy 9 he went around, and he was beaten 18 lengths. And I thought, well, that's it. I just cannot come into this horse anymore. He's killing me. So, of course, what does he do his next 2 starts? He comes out and wins impressively. And that win, as you mentioned yesterday, Shorty, was very good. I mean, there was good tempo. Those last 2 races at Rosehill yesterday, they ran the quicker times of the day.
Yep.
So they were the better horses. But, look, he zoomed home from the back. He really weaved through the pack. And Peter Snowden, all credit to him, has really turned this one around. He's gone from a bit of an enigma to a horse that's winning races and winning well. So I thought he was really good. He can win again on that. And Kerguelen, who's a horse I've been happy to pot too. Yeah. He was running on nicely from the back of the field, but he's becoming a little bit costly as well.
He certainly is. He's not going to deliver on that early promise, I don't think, with Kerguelen. He was going to be a nice horse at one stage. So we flip back to race 9, the Winter Challenge. Terrific finish. Robusto off the canvas. Outguns accredited to the line. It was a great battle royale between these two. They were clear from Salt Coates back in 3rd.
Yeah, and again, good speed up front, and that was set by Accredited. So Accredited's done a terrific job here to almost hold off Robusto, who had the gun run 3rd the fence and got the gap at the top of the straight. So every possible chance for Robusto, and he just got there beating Accredited. So, look, 5 kilos in Accredited's favour would have helped there, but I thought both runs were quite good, particularly the second-placed horse who was game. Estadio Mostarda, get that right, Estadio Mostarda. I didn't think it was too bad. We know it was a long shot winner last time, but sat 3 wide, no cover here on that strong speed. So that effort was quite okay. Fearsome was running on. No, Salt Coates was the one running on at the end. So I think Accredited was really good, but that'll be a good form race.
All right. Black Book is out of that meeting?
First Landing out of race 2. Now, race 4 we didn't cover, but I think Amusing can certainly win again, but needs a dry track. Has never raced on a good track, Amusing, and I think will be a much better horse on a dry track. And Mr. Verse, he was back and wide and covered a lot of ground, was narrowly beaten. So first landing race 2, Amusing Mr. Verse from race 4, and Schuler is out of race 6.
All righty, on to Eagle Farm there yesterday. The first race we're going to have a look at is race number 2, was for the 3-year-old fillies over the 1,200 metres without parallel for Damien Thornton, defeated Berezka and Petite Palace.
Yeah, a good win from without parallel, only start number 3, so win number 3, and did it first up at 1,200 metres, which is never easy. So coming to town for the first time, Matty Dunn's a really good trainer, as we know. So that was a good effort, will improve. I think the second horse is the one to follow, though. Yes, I put my hand up. I did tip it, made it the best of the day. Yeah, she just missed out. She was running on strongly, but she sat 3 wide all the way. And the effort to keep coming and almost get there on the line was a very good one. So she'll get out over further than 1,200. Keep following her if she stays in work for Racetrack. Take nothing away from the winner, but obviously that second horse goes in the black book.
Okay, race 5, it was Alpha Sophie. Tell us about Jason Edwards and CJ Graham as a combination.
Well, they don't get together too often on the track anyway, as far as I know. So, look, CJ's riding well. Jason Edwards is a bit of a knockabout trainer. He doesn't train a lot of winners, but I think he's got a really nice one here in Alpha Sophie because she was 10 lengths last. And look, the tempo was there to help her, but she did a really good job to pick up ground before the home turn. Then she weaved her way down the straight. She ran the Sunshine Coast. She ran a close-up effort at her debut, but she's gone a few better here. So he might have a nice one in the stable.
Okay.
Jason Edwards with Alpha Sophie. So we stick with her. Pretty dubious lead. Folded right up, ran last, put up with a poor recovery. Nothing much out of that race,
all right,
other than the winner.
Okie dokes. And we rounded out with a look at race number 8, where Lead Me On defeated 10 Good Reasons, who was the horse we were on at the good odds each way, and Jopper Lane was back in third.
What do you think, protest-wise? I had another look at that this morning, the interference late, and I think you can make a case that 10 Good Reasons would have got past Lead Me On, but it was just probably too late in the race, unfortunately. Lead Me On sort of ducked out severely, very late. I think that's just about the time 10 Good Reasons was knuckling down and about to run past. But look, protests, you've got to be sure that the winner wouldn't have been beaten, that it would have, that the second horse definitely would have beaten it, and you couldn't come to that decision. So I think the steward's got it right, but I think 10 Good Reasons is certainly a horse to follow, and he'll get out over further. His campaign, that was only his third run back, so we'll be on him next time.
Okay, making him one to follow as well.
Yeah, definitely. Berezka and 10 Good Reasons, both out of Eagle Farm yesterday.
Sunny Coast today?
Yeah, not much of a meeting, unfortunately, guys. And we've got a soft 7, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Some 4-horse fields. So we'll just go with one at a bit of value, race 6, number 12, Riva D'Amour. I haven't even checked the price this morning. They weren't up when I had a look. So I don't know if you can check that quickly, but it should be around double figures, I would have thought, race 6, number 12.
Race 6, number 12, Riva D'Amour this afternoon there on the Sunshine Coast. Currently $7 and $2.30 on the fixed odds. It opened up at $8 into 7. So scratchings of 1, 10 and 13. Okie dokes. Good on you, Chris. Have a ripper Sunday, mate.
You too, guys. All the best. We'll chat next week.
See you, Chris.
Blah, blah, blah. Let Marty Young and David Shortte do all the talking on the Aftermath. Sunday morning at its best on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
8 away from 7, and a very good morning to Racetrack, Ralphy.
Good morning, boys. Fleming played, well, the surface itself played well, but if you're doing the replays, there was significant headwind around the turn, which was, so that's into the faces in the turning circle races, and it assisted the on-paces up the straight.
Yeah, it was cutting through you. They reckon it was a cutting win. It was like Hutchie cutting through RSN. I saw your little to camera number.
Life's all about timing, Ralphie. Life's all about timing.
It certainly is, Shorty. Yeah. Sometimes if you wait long enough, you can see the bodies floating down the river.
Oh, let's rip into this program. The first, the punters were all over Duchess Zoo. They timed their run very nicely, as did Craig Williams, defeating Legacy Bay and Lario.
They did. I couldn't take that price in a fit, but that's just me. Via Sustina I'll take. But yeah, perfect ride. The obviously the narrative for the day and the Melbourne at the moment is Williams versus Shin. They're both riding like demons. Although Blake in this race, that was a prime example of the headwind mucking up thoughts, because Just for Show jumped well, and he couldn't get outside the lead, so he went right back. So poor Just for Show's looking for the right race. I dare say they might give Duchess Zoos a break because it's all in the first prep. So from a horses to fire point of view, Just for Show's just ready to win the right race. But yesterday, again, wasn't it.
Winning the Byerly gets you into the Derby, and the Justified Colt Arcora, Besutton Young, they love a Derby runner, and Johnny Allen, they get the money.
Well, you never stop learning in this, Cape Herd, and I've got to say, first up with you guys, I said, I think this is a Derby horse when it ran second to Bucklerk, and then I sort of looked a bit silly, but I could tell what was happening. He's just a big Dumbo, this horse, and I was pretty firm with you guys a couple of weeks ago to stay with it, so
yep.
Yeah, it was a fun watch yesterday, even though it took a long time up the straight, but again, I don't think they won the lead, but no one else did, so they just walked, and this horse just kept staying and staying and staying, so I reckon he'll be a contender. I really do. So I think even though it was a narrowish margin, he's the best horse out of this. Nice debut from Arabian Prince, and Bayou Music and Bermondsey weren't far off him last time as well. So they sort of all line up. But I think Arcora is the one with significant staying upside.
Indeed. On to race number 3. This was for the 3-year-olds over the 1,700 metres. A really nice effort from M60 down. Johnny Allen just extending late. It was a win with a little bit of authority.
Yeah, well, I mean, the data's not through yet, but in his leading, he ran the best last 400 and 200, I think, of both meetings in his 2 wins, hence the really good market support for him yesterday. Got the dream scenario. Look, if you're struggling for something to do today, just watch the head-on of Amber Star. I think Johnny Allen enjoyed that one, 3-back defence, while the horse that was behind the leader was stuck by the leader. So he just blew the whistle, as Matty Hill called. Very nice turn of foot. The horse that was really disappointing was Zorro's Fight. I'm just thinking possibly the same stable, actually, with the Open that was playing last week. Monster race-to-race improvement previous start, also at Flemington, and then turned up flat yesterday. So I wouldn't dismiss Zorro's Fight, but pretty sort of plain bunch of end-of-season 3-year-olds, bar M60 that has got a nice turn of foot.
Okay, the sprinters here. Shining Smile just wins at that 1,000 metres, doesn't it? This was a pretty good win. I love the run of the third horse on debut, Bold Secret.
Yeah, it was hard to miss, wasn't it? I think that's the Black Booker from the meeting. And particularly I want to underline, early in that day, that tailwind was really assisting the on-paces. It was slowly away. It sort of trialled like this, but it just was one of those find-your-feet, call-it spring-type sprinters. So time will tell what it evolves into, but I definitely want to be on it. And Oyster Lane, maybe back round a bend. Look, Shining Smile reminds me of Bold Bastille last year, and I looked a bit silly just saying, it just hasn't done anything on the clock. And again, it was 8 lengths slower than Lose Some Win More. Okay, it certainly wasn't 35 degrees yesterday, I know that. So however firm the track was in race 9, it just isn't running the times to justify its wins. If you owned it, you would care less. But I'm just saying that, just be careful looking purely at the wins at the moment.
Fair enough. Race number 5 was the Rising Stars final for the apprentices. Rosie Hammond right down the outside with Lake Vostok defeating Jazz Affair and Cindy Falls.
5 I had nearly, Quaddy Shorty. 5 of them I had. Yep.
Not quite the 12.
Oh, it was a messy watch. And again, this is what happens with not just apprentice only, but, the headwind, in fairness, mucked up a few tactics. And Luke Cartwright just should have owned it on Pariah Pearl, but instead wanted that early Pelton cover. And I got no doubt it cost him the race. Lake Vostok was able to sling out super wide in the slightly better going and got the money there. But, yeah, a bit of a messy race. I think Cindy Falls is actually ready and ready for a senior jockey as well.
Gee, this was a win. Love for a car. Wow. From last.
Well, I remember David Walsh, the Mona Gallery David Walsh,
yes,
once saying that the best jockeys are underrated and the worst jockeys are overrated.
Yep.
This is the case here. So, my goodness, I was just watching him the whole way. Barrier 1, pitch, wider, difference between winning and losing. The Bergerac, who trains that, Marty?
The Penguin, he got caught on the line.
He got me again, yeah. He's too good. And Eye of the Fire, though, this is a good rebound. Even though it's beaten 2 legs, it did nothing first up. It's a good talent when it's right. So this one says that it's right going forward. So I reckon Eye of the Fire is the one you want to be with going forward out of this race. La Fracas, definitely huge on wet tracks, okay on dry.
All right, on to race 7, the race paying tribute to the great man Dean Lester, the Flemington Cup there. And it was more Mona, just that little bit stronger late for Mukta Mill, who looked like it had every chance, but wasn't far away. And Samuel Langhorne was back in third.
Well, knowing the great man liked the craft of riding too, I think he would have been delighted watching Jamie Mellon from barrier one, just pinching her way through, following Craig Williams in the run, the best jockeys following the best jockeys type of thing. And in the end, that was probably the difference between winning and losing. They both ran well. Samuel Langhorne ran his typical race, bold style. Just tactics fail. 10 lengths from the lead when it's been racing within a few lengths of the lead. So just too far back. But, they're an even bunch, this group.
Yeah, very even.
It's two superb rides.
Yep. Race 8, and it was Say Darty. They've got this horse in winning form now.
Well, it wasn't hard to stamp from Sandown. Stamped it against Caulfield, and he'll probably keep winning. Nellie Laylax. This is an interesting run. It came from that super high pressure race in I think it was Rose Hill, was in Sydney anyway last start, and there was a chance of flatness. So it's ran well. I think it's the one because it's down the weights. They'll probably be able to find a ratings race for it. So, but yeah, don't drop off Sadade for sure either.
Lose some, win more. Took out the last defeating Harry Got Styles and Big Me. Black Bookers for the meeting there, Ralphy.
Yes, we'll just go nice and easy. Bold Star early in the day. A lot of these were grand finals yesterday, so Bold Star for sure.
Bold, yeah, okay, we'll put that in the book. 15 seconds away. It'd be nice if they play holding the ball, drop the incorrect disposal, eh?
Oh, Godfather, you reckon Greg Swan's got a bit to do when he walks through the door?
Momentum, and there was a game changer too, just the momentum. It was not ideal. Yep.
See you, mate.
Yep, absolutely.
Bye-bye, Ralphy. She got you the
On the
toasties.
aftermath,
Oh, no, she
it's
did.
time
I
to
gotta say
introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club, Brad Hardie. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Bradley.
Morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty. And good morning, Miss Stone.
She's looking like a school teacher today. She's very happy
but she's
with
got a bit
lot.
of chalk, bit of chalk ready to throw at you, Bear. That's for sure.
Right behind her ears.
Or the duster. That used to get a run back in the day.
Did it
Dad
ever?
used to tell me down there at the Beaky Bashes, there was the occasional, grade 2 or 3 teacher, if they'd had a bad day and one of the Short brothers were a bit lippy at the back of the room, she'd just wheel out the old the duster and give it a fair old whack.
A badge of honour getting the 6 of the best from the cane.
Yeah,
for sure.
You got
No doubt about that.
100%. Well, Bradley, first off, let's start with last night's game with Melbourne and Carlton, and it's going to be a lot of talk. The MRO with Stephen May. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, we're
Francis Evans.
We're a result-driven business, aren't we? You know what I mean? If you... it's going to be... Unfortunately, we see everything in slow-mo, don't we? So it magnifies things like that, but it doesn't look good. What are they expected to do? Well, maybe he's expected to pirouette the other way and miss him completely, but are we ready for that, Marty and Shorty? Are we ready to say, well, why didn't he... Because as Francis Evans takes the ball, goes through and kicks the goal...
You say, what were you doing?
With a bit of do-si-do.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be jumping up and down. So, it's going to be a real test. But, again, not for the first time. We had it with Cherry last week. It's either probably going to be 0 or 3. And my best guess it's going to be 3. Because
they might put a bit of gravy on this one as well for him, Stephen.
Well... Put his nose all over his face, didn't he, really? And you dare say there'd be some concussion to boot.
Okay, so this is what it'll be, duty of care. They'll wheel it out under that. He hasn't shown enough duty of care towards his fellow colleague out there. But, I think they'll have a go at it. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe, just another thing too, Brad, and I'm not having a go, but is there any fear? You're not in boxing. The punch has only got to miss you by a millimetre. Any fear of the bloke moving his head, just ducking and weaving a little bit?
Yeah. Well, look, sometimes players don't have that astute awareness, Shorty and Marty. I even remember Ben Cousins was very naive back in his days. I used to, and had many chats with Brian and Bren about you know, mate, the way he used to come up out of a contest, you know, with the ball and someone would tackle him shorty and he'd come out breast first. And I said, mate, be careful because if you come out leading with your head, someone's going to take you out. You've got to come out with a pointed shoulder. You've got to come out in a 45-degree angle when you've been down like that. And he got better at it and really, really good at it in the end. But as I say, yeah, so I think a bloke like Francis Evans, who's not really, no disrespect, an AFL player, he's more of a lesser league player. It doesn't have that set of skills. And you know, you're probably right. All the awareness to be able to evade like that.
They missed a big free kick against Oliver late in the game. And I know it comes down to moments, and we're not umpire bashing here, but how do they miss those ones? And then as a direct impact of not paying the free kick, the ball goes up the other end. Similar situation with Curnow. It was not similar. It was nowhere near as bad as the one they missed. And Curnow gets a free kick and goes back and kicks the match-winning goal.
Yeah, it's highly frustrating for all concerned. That's why we're all confused. I mean, doesn't matter what colour we barrack for. You know, like it's just happening too much. And again, you know, Shorty goes in, feet under the desk tomorrow, and I dare say if he hasn't got his new email address, I'm sure he has, it's going to be loaded with suggestions to how to improve the game. So, because I know he'd been overseas. He went over to Royal Ascot for a couple of weeks and Europe for a bit of a holiday before he takes up residence tomorrow in City Hall, and when he got back, he said, "Boy, Jesus!" He said there was some mail in the inbox, Shorty. He said never seen anything like it because that's the only email they had for him. So, so it's going to be. As I said, Marty, I said to the boys on with you boys on Brekkie and that. And with Shorty on Aftermath as well, is that what he needs to do, they got to go down to the Werribee Mansion, they can go for a zoo ride if they want, I don't care, but they've got to get the best brainiacs in the game, himself, Jeff Walsh, if Andrew Dillon wants to be there, but I don't put a lot of weight on what he thinks because he's such a procrastinator, and then go and get your best half a dozen confidence. I'd love to have a seat at the table, Shorty, and you sit down and you can drink tea, coffee, red wine, bourbon, I don't care. But every time you come to the table, you table an issue and you work through it until you get the satisfactory result with everyone's happy with and how it's going to betterment of the game and work through it. And if you lock yourselves in there for 3 days, so be it. But by the time you come out, have that big think tank and make sure that everything's covered because at the moment, trying to amend everything on the run is just way, way too hard.
Doesn't work. And to be fair, the game's not completely broken. I think there's a few little things. The game itself, when the good sides are playing, it's as pure a football as you'd have seen at any time of the sport being played. It is an absolutely top draw, but there are some things that can absolutely be tidied up. And some of them are just low-lying fruit. Like having the sub, for me, it's just the easiest fix in the history of man. You walk in and say, what is anybody getting out of that right now? Nothing. Only negatives because the player that's on the bench doesn't want to come off. Blokes that are on debut that are put in that spot miss the experience of a full game. And really, the game's moved past that, so that's an easy fix. There's a couple of other timely ones. I think they could probably speed up the ruckman getting to the contest and things like that and having to nominate who the ruckman is. That's a quick fix. But having somebody in the chair finally that is universally respected and has got some common sense, I think there's hope to actually fix things up a little bit, Brad. It's probably the first time there's been a pure football person in this spot for a little while, and I think it's given great hope to the rank and file football lover that there can be some good outcomes given this particular appointment.
He's the first club level appointment, really. You know, when you think about it, and that's really, really good. He's been an administrator of the highest order for 26 years, and really understands clubland as well. And that's what you need. You need that conduit. And as you say, Shorty, I mean, I know he mentioned last week in an interview, you know, about reducing the amount of time in a package, not to reduce the quarter time, but the package time, as you say, with a lot of those things that can be fixed. And you know, and the other one just to toss in there is like Marty takes a mark outside 50, gets his 30 seconds to go back and have a shot and then passes it off. Well, you don't get another 30. You know, like it becomes a 10, you know, or 5 or 10, you know, and you're on. And that type of thing, because if they could reduce it by 2 minutes a quarter, Marty, it's, you know, somewhere between 8 and 10 minutes in the overall package. You know, that's one thing it's going to alleviate. But you're right, Shorty. That's why I'm saying it. You just go in there and you all have a list and you, you know, you sit down and you knock it out and you follow it through, because being a visionary, you've got to invoke things that work and you take it to the nth degree, and even yours last night, Marty, with the Oliver one, for instance, put that in the grand final. Lord Almighty. I mean, you don't reckon they'd be tearing the joint down if that happened on grand final day, for sure.
And I just want to, in the end, I was barracking for Carlton. I tipped Melbourne, no bet game for me. Tipping doesn't matter anymore. I was barracking for Vossi. Let's hope you get up. But then when you see that, you go, no, that's not right. Text line, we'll do a couple of texts and we'll pull these games apart. Bluey here, tough watch. As an Eagles supporter last night, the skills and poor fitness really stood out below AFL standards, in my opinion. And then he went on to say, that Subi copped a shellacking from Claremont yesterday as well. We'll talk about the waffle. So that's a precursor into this game. West Coast 56, got trounced by Richmond in the second half, 105. Tigers, 5th win of the season. First time they've kicked 100 points since round 23, 2023.
Oh, they're a rabble, Shorty. And look, it really centres around one quarter, and that's the third because they were in the game at half time, Marty. But that was putrid, absolutely putrid. And I don't know where this proud football club is actually headed. I've been certainly questioning the direction through the board, all the way through the administration. I've given McCalder a couple of mulligans along the way, as you know, Shorty, but now I'm running out of patience because, and I think the West Coast fans should be too as well. I know it's only early days, but how does Richmond go from 0 to 100 like that, this so far, in the year, and West Coast are still languishing? What about Little Junior? I mean, unbelievable. That's what I want to see from every West Coast Eagles player, mate. Playing for it because it's your life, because it is his life. And Junior's not getting the game on a regular basis. He's had to go back and get himself right and improve in areas, and that's what you want to see. But some of those magnanimous efforts last night just makes everybody walk a little taller, and everybody wants to get involved. But that was putrid, and they've lost me last night again because I thought, a couple of weeks ago against Collingwood, honourable loss, etc., etc. Ever since then, it has not been great. And that was their grand final last night, and they had a Sydney Swans because they just got absolutely mauled by a bunch of kids, a bunch of Tiger Cubs. I said, they got a few, premiership players, but the bottom line is it was really the youngsters playing against the youngsters last night, and they failed dismally, absolutely dismally, Rusty. And you should be upset because that was you talk about 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That was 1 step forward, 2 miles back.
Morris, that rundown tackle, that'll go down as one of the highlights of the season. If you don't get a smile on your dial, whoever you barrack for out of that little moment, you're not human. It was a magical little moment for a fella, as Brad's just alluded to, who's worked really hard on getting back into that side. Carlton, Melbourne, as Marty alluded to, that there'll be controversy out of this particular game, but the Blues, it's for a side that have been battling of late, they'll take the 4 points, and they need to get things right in the off-season. They need to work out what they're doing with this playing list. They need to straighten things up from a health and fitness perspective because they haven't had access to a lot of their stars. It reeks of the old club review in the off season, Bradley.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be a bigger review at Melbourne. I think it was already bubbling along behind the scenes, boys, and it's only going to ramp up now. I mean, even the most optimistic Carlton supporter probably thought, we may not win this one. We're up against Melbourne's form had been reasonable without being sensational. Don't get me wrong, but that was putrid. And Fritz and a few of those boys, Petrarca, Oliver. They've all got not saying they're playing bad footy, but they're not playing electric footy. And do we get the revisit, Marty and Shorty, from, do we try and get one out? Do they got to push one out the door? Well, certainly Fritz, I think he'll go out the door for sure. And does Oliver, or does anybody still want Oliver?
Well, can they get back to where they were, Brad? That's my question to you. I don't think they can.
I can't see it. No, I think the young DeConning last night took Maxi on a bit, and that's going to become more regular. And that's not because Maxi's not having a go, because he does.
He did. He tried his heart out. Yeah.
But he's not getting any younger. And as you can see, you know, a bloke like Dan Curvis last night over your way, Shorty, I mean, he's just a bullock. And he just gets around the ground at the one pace. And Maxie's going to, unfortunately, suffer that himself. He's not going to be the athlete he was 5 years ago. And, so he's going to need a little bit of a chop out. And, their forward line structure, I mean, Cosy was terrific to kick as many goals as he did out of that. But, the rest of them, they've gone backwards. And I never had them in the 8 this year, and I don't think you boys did either.
No.
But, they've certainly underwhelmed. There's no doubt about that.
Both teams. Look, I think you could get, and I said on looking at Essendon, if you did an honest review of their list, 15 to 16 players on that list. Now, they're not all going to go. You might retire 3, be able to trade 5 or something, and 8 will stay on your list. I think there's 16 at Essendon. I think both of these clubs would have 15 each. Having a look, I had a look at it last night, where you could go in an ideal world. Yep, all gone.
Let's get some young, fresh faces that are going to play for their career and have got some hope of being more long-term prospects than these guys that are really list fillers at the moment.
That's all they are, and that's how they play like that, Brad, don't they? It doesn't really mean that much to them. It's if I get 23 Ps and I've done my job.
Well, it's stats padding, as we say. Look, it's and that's when that's what I call self-preservation, Shorty. And sometimes it kicks in early, sometimes it kicks in late, depending on how close or far away you are from winning a game. And and that's the point. But a lot of the clubs are going to go into the money ball mode and try and find out. Because I did the Sydney North Melbourne game last night for AW, Shorty, and and I kept mentioning, and I was identifying players who should be looked at by other clubs. There was a bloke playing for Sydney last night called Braden Campbell. Now, we know all about, we know about Goulden and we know about Heaney and we know about, Warner and all of that sort of stuff. That's fine. But this is a bloke who can play footy. He's 23 years of age. He's played about 85, 89 games of footy, and he can't get in. He's sort of always on the bench or the sub or whatever. And I'm saying, look at this bloke. I mean, he kicks the ball like a dart. He's not Goulden, but he's not far off. You know what I mean? So footy clubs are going to go out and, hey, any chance, champ? You want to play a bit more footy? These are the sort of things you've got to try and do because it was a really mundane game. I mean, the cream rose to the crop in this game. I mean, Heaney was just unbelievable, absolutely sensational. But Clarkson got pants last night by Big Dean Cox, and I'll tell you why, just because I wanted to highlight this. What was happening was it wasn't going too badly. It was Simpkin and LDU against, their midfield, et cetera. So anyway, to try and just break things up a little bit, Dean Cox had Goulden on a wing, Warner in the middle, Heaney went to the half-forward flank. And they just rotated for about 6 minutes, boys, in that, one to the next, up to the 2 goals, and Warner dropped one, and he should have kicked the goal. So in that period of time, and at half-time they were, 18 points down, 3 goals. That bit of play just there confused him because the handover confused the North Melbourne players and, who's on him? And Dean Cox really came a long way last night because he needed to because his players were playing like millionaires, Marty. They were throwing things around and basketballing and all of that sort of stuff. But, Heaney was superb and North Melbourne had a bit of a crack, but, they're a long, long way off for where they need to be. And the Swans are still slightly alive going forward, boys, taking on the Giants next week.
Yeah, honourable mention, Brodie Grundy, 62 hit at 60. Hit outs, if you don't mind, putters. What about Hawthorn Port? The conditions down there were terrible. I just love the way Kenny's finishing this season off. He's caught the young bloke having a crack and said,
"Good on." Playing and gave him a high five on the way out.
I thought he was going to blow a head gasket early, but then he saw the funny side of it. And thought, knowing full well the cameras are on you, you got to react responsibly to it. But look, as I say, everybody keeps talking about the doggies and Fremantle, fighting for a spot. Well, Hawthorn and the Giants aren't out of the woods here either. You have a look at their draws; they're a little bit tricky to negotiate. And, they play each other next week. The Swans play Giants next week, and then the following week the Dogs and the Giants play, and so on and so forth. And there's a few good games, testing games coming up for these two clubs. So Hawthorn aren't I think they've lost their mojo a bit. Would you say, Shorty and Marty? I don't think they're as invincible as we thought they were.
This time last year, are they? You can honestly say that.
Yeah. I think they're just getting through. But as I say, this is going to be a life's about timing year. There's no doubt about that, because we're 6 weeks away from looking at the first week of the finals, and you still got to stay up. And Brisbane need to keep winning, for instance, and their run's not easy. Collingwood need to win today, because all of a sudden the Lions have moved within. I know they've got a game in hand, but half a length of them.
Yep.
And you think that the Geelong do the righty today and just close the gap again. So you don't want to be tripping over. I still think Brisbane's is the best, and they can win from first, second, third, fourth, fifth, because they did it last year. But the others are so paramount on getting the 2 home finals, either at the G or with Geelong and Collingwood. And of course, Brisbane would love to have 2 at the Gabba, but that's not guaranteed. So these teams are going to have to be up for a while. That's what I'm saying. So they're going to have to be up for the best part of not quite 3 months, but they're going to have to be up for a while, because they're going to have 10 fixtures between now and grand final day to work it out whether they can win it or not.
It's going to be a nice afternoon in the Short household, Bradley. Back-to-back games. Geelong, St Kilda, the Cats $1.13. St Kilda $6 the line, 34.5. Collingwood $1.36. Freo $3.15. The line $17.5. And the final game, Adelaide $1.33. Gold Coast $3.30. The line at 20.5.
No, I'm just going to have one quick drive-by. Who's fixturing these games? I mean, fair dinkum. I mean, great game at the MCG, Collingwood and Fremantle. Everybody wants to watch it. Let's just overlap it with Adelaide and the Suns. It's just ridiculous. Madness. It's all about the news and all of that sort of stuff. We know that, free to air. But look, Geelong, they'll get it done, but they'll have to be wary, because St Kilda, they'll try and make it messy down there, Marty, as they always do. So, but they should get that done. I'm leaning to Collingwood. They're still making a little bit too many managements and all this sort of stuff. And remember, his wife's going in for a baby, so they're worried about that. So that's why he's being managed today. There's nothing wrong with his body. I mean, you don't flirt with your form, but they have all of these different things that you and I and Shorty, probably from the old school, thinking, what the, you're going to miss a game because your wife's having the baby? My dad was at the pub waiting for the phone call. It's bizarre, so the different world we live in. So I think that'll be an interesting. I hope they haven't rushed Hayden Young back too early, Shorty. Maybe he starts at the sub. I don't know, because he's such an electric player, an explosive player, and he hasn't played since round 8. So hopefully got in condition. They have brought a couple back early. A little bit too early this year already. And the Adelaide Crows, I think, will get the Suns today. The Suns have got that game in hand, and they've got easier fixtures to worry about later. But I think that Adelaide Crows forward line get the job done there, boys.
Sunday saviour.
Yes, let's go. I've got a big one today too, Shorty. Grafton, race 2, number 3, with style, $2.10. That's from the Muntz camp. They've left it in. It's drawn out wide, but if they're leaving it in, I think it's going to win. And then we'll go to Hawkesbury, race 4, number 4, Joe Pride, Van Lee, $3.10. And then we'll go to Seymour, race 4, number 6. There's a little filly going around for the first time called Above Me. $4.20. She's had a few trials and she cost about $750. And so, again, drawn out wide, but going okay, apparently. So, Graf 2-3, Hawkesbury 4-4, Seymour 4-6, and you put them all together, $27.50, boys.
Loans 1, 2, 3. And Retrovision. Bradley, you've been a star.
Yeah.
We're listening tomorrow.
Look forward to it, boys.
See you, mate.
You're listening to the Sunday Aftermath on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
JD Hayes to talk racing, a 2-state double for the boys yesterday. A very good morning, JD. Welcome to WA.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to be catching up with you, JD. Before we get into your winners yesterday, you must be delighted with the way the operation's ticking over. Yourself and your brothers are just getting so much success. It looks like you also have got a great ownership group that have a lot of fun on race day.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely thrilled with the way things are going, and we couldn't do it with the facilities that we have and the great people around us. So it's just good for the team when we starting to get nice results. So couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, and One Horse is getting those results for you. Shining Smile putting together an excellent winning strike rate now, and had to lump the decent weight there yesterday, but was able to still get the job done. Just a horse with a very good attitude.
Yeah, he's just a winner, 5 in a row. It's an incredible effort, and for a good client too, Victor Litmung Lee over in Hong Kong, who's been a big supporter of the stable from day one. And it was always a plan to refrain from going to Sydney and send him to the paddock early so we could hit the spring with a run under our belt and be the fit horse on the scene early. So it looks like the plan's pulled off now, with him coming back in nice form, and hopefully he can translate it in about approximately a month's time when we head to the Vane.
He's just a winner, isn't he, this colt, by Spirit of Boom? He's 5 from 7, and to me, just looking at the horse yesterday, JD, he wasn't comfortable out there without any cover. He was wanting to sort of get it over and done with, and I thought he was susceptible late, and he was tough.
Oh, he was certainly tough, and there was quite a big headwind as well when he pulled, and he won because he was just too good. He's a very good quality animal, and carried the weight, and I think there's a fair bit of credit there. And although they'll lightly race the horses that he beat, he did give him a bit of weight, and I bet you there's a few nice horses in there.
Oh, no doubt. That's the truth. How's the horse pulled up this morning?
Yeah, bright as a button. Absolutely bright as a button. So he's a nice strong colt, good constitution for racing, hence why he's had 7 starts as a 2-year-old, and looking forward to spring.
Okay, you took this Morris filly over to South Australia 2 starts ago. You ran second in the Oaklands at listed level, and you've headed back across and won the sires at Group 3 level. It was a good effort, only 4 starts for 2 wins now and a stakes placing.
Yeah, she really has gone great guns this preparation. We've always had a nice opinion of her, and it's a good effort for a filly to go into state 2 runs consecutive and put up a run both times. And I thought she was there to be beat at the 100, but she just found another gear and it was too strong. So it was nice for the Needham family, who's the colours they race him and connections involved, to be able to get some nice Group 3 black type under her belt.
Indeed, and of course, nice link to racing in South Australia through the family, so to be able to get back there and win a race like that continues the legacy of the family in that state.
Yeah, no, it's good. When you walk into Mortville, there's a statue of Grandpa there, so you give him a high five when you walk in, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, that's for sure. Adelaide's played a big part in our family heritage.
My oath it has. And talk about Adelaide, and Adelaide, one of their finest, Jason Holder. I thought his ride was outstanding here. He just kept something up his sleeve for that last 20 metres.
Yeah, no, he's got experience under his belt, and he's very, very strong when he goes for him. I thought I could hear the whip crack from Victoria when he went for her. So, she was thinking about letting the other one get to her in the last 50. I think it was a vigorous riding that got her across the line.
He's riding like Paul Harvey about 10 years ago, getting towards that senior end of their career, but he's still so hard to get past in a finish. Jason Holder, he's a rip at the back and gives every horse a chance over there. He is a wonderful jockey, so that was a good jockey choice.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one of our go-tos, and we send a horse over interstate.
JD, the latest on Mr. Brightside, the stable star. What an amazing job you guys have done with this horse. What's the latest on Mr. B?
No, thank you. I think Mr. B's in rare where we can't take too much credit. He's just an incredible athlete. He's had 45 starts and he missed the top 4 times, and I think he averages 450 grand every time he goes around. So he won't be forgotten for a long time, and I still think he's going to be around for a few seasons to come because he's absolutely bouncing out of his skin. He's going to have a nice gallop on Monday, and then you'll look to see him at the trials Friday week.
Oh, good. Now, you spoke about Pop. What about Dad? He set your rower up for you young blokes to take control. Is he just ringing you and saying, Matt, have you got the stall ready for the good horse to come down? I'll be coming down and showing you what it's all about soon, boys.
We've never been happier when he said he was just going to stay in Sydney, because he would have been very stressed boys if he was around the farm. But no, he's actually home at the moment.
Is he?
He's on the couch yesterday having a red and cheering him home, so it was good.
Oh, good.
Good when you have a few winners and the boss is back.
Yeah, we'll give him a call over the next. Yeah, obviously with Hong Kong having their 6-week break, we'll do that. We might get him on drive one day and have a chat. Prime him up for us, will you?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll wind him up.
Okay, JD.
You can tell him that we've got a better strike rate than he ever had.
Outstanding. JD, thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Aftermath. Continued success to your good self and all of your family. We'll chat again soon right here on TAB Radio. All the very best.
Thanks for having me.
How exciting is that going to be when Kaying Rising gets to Sydney? Wow.
Gee whiz, what a family dynasty. What a legacy they leave on, you know, and as JD just alluded to, you're walking into the racetrack and there's a statue of your grandpa there to forever remember, and for all racegoers to pay tribute to. It's extraordinary, and you just briefly touched on it then, Marty. Dave Hayes must be honestly sitting on that couch enjoying that red, but looking at the job that his boys are now doing and thinking, you know what? He'd look at his wife and say, we've done something all right, Dale.
Well, and you've got to give it to him. He set your rower up, and it was a big gamble at the time, and it didn't pay off immediately, you know, and everyone's saying, oh, this has been a stuff up and all that. And then he goes away and the boys get in there, and the same thing happens. Oh, these young blokes are going to struggle without Dad. And look what they've done. They're just a great racing family. There's no doubt about it. Tony Afrio's take this one in. Pavlich is a West Coast cheerleader. He kept on saying that they had the youngest list. Please, Richmond are miles ahead of the rebuild. That is Tony Afrio.
Oh, I didn't get to listen to all of Matty Pavlich's commentary, so I can't say 100%. But, yeah, look, it's tough. Sometimes as a commentator you go the other way because you don't want to be seen as being biased, in his instance, to Freo, which would be anti-West Coast. So he probably goes too much love the other way to try and straighten it up, and you get accused of being that way hard. It's never an easy job.
Now, we have got a special guest joining us. Let's listen to some of his best work last night.
He's in full flight. What a sight. Leap to fame at the top of the lane. Leap to fame getting clear. Margin 7 metres. Speak the truth. They enter the home running. Leap to fame. He's got them again. More into Dominion glory. Leap to fame. Forever lives in the Hall of Fame. A modern day champion becomes racing royalty. Leap to fame. Speak the truth. Photo third. Seard or Don Hugo. Max Delight next in.
Well, there is Chris Barsby's call of that Inter Dominion final last night. He joins us right now, and thanks for taking our call. A very good morning to you, Chris.
Marty, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure.
David Shortte's with me as well. And how is it, you know, the build-up, the couple of weeks leading into this great horses grand final last night? You called it so beautifully. It was a stellar night's pacing. How is it the day after?
Exhausting. It was such a huge build-up in many ways for this series, and this is the first of three. The Inter Dominion has found a home here in Queensland over the next 3 years, so the build-up was pretty intense because the hometown hero is Leap to Fame, and he's the number one horse in harness racing right now. So it's been pretty full-on over the past couple of weeks and right throughout the series. So the day after, it was pure relief after he crossed the line last night, and it's just a little bit of time to relax, unwind, and then reflect on what he achieved, what the carnival brought to harness racing overall, and ways we can improve. I think we won't rest on our laurels. I think we're already planning for next year and beyond. So there's a fair bit to sort of take in, but first and foremost, it was just exhaustion, I think, at the end of the night last night, but happy to step up and get things moving again for next year and beyond.
Yeah, before we move on to some of the other races and the crowds and what the event itself was like, let's just focus on this champion for a moment. That victory last night, we were chatting about it earlier on the program today, Chris, was just a horse that was different gravy and has been for a significant period of time now. What this horse is achieving and how it's winning its races with such arrogance against the best in the business, it's something that really has to be savoured by the harness racing fan right now because it is greatness to the extreme level.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He is the number one horse for harness racing. Every sporting code needs that hero, that pin-up person or horse or whatever it may be, and this is it for harness racing. It doesn't get any better for Leap to Fame, and he's proven year after year that he is the number one seed. There's no question about that. So by winning that grand final last night, he becomes the richest earning horse of all time, eclipsing the likes of Black's a Fake, I'm the Mighty Quinn, and Lazarus. Now, you know, that's going to keep changing given the setup with the financial world that we live in, but that was a huge moment there last night. To pass the likes of Black's a Fake, that's his second Inter Dominion win now, Leap to Fame. Who knows how long he's going to go? Because keeping in mind, he is a stallion, so he's got that next phase of his career that they've got to look at, the connection. So it's going to be very interesting to see how long they keep going. But I made the point during the series, he looks like he's getting better and stronger. I don't know if that's possible. He's a fully matured 6-year-old stallion, but he just keeps taking his game to a new level. And I think that's testament to Grant and Tristan Dixon, his conditioners, because they just produce him so perfectly every time he steps out. When he goes to the racetrack, he's there to perform. He doesn't let anyone down. So I think that's true testament to their ability as horse people, that they can just keep getting the best out of him every time he goes to the track.
Couple of things here. That drone shot of the start of the race was outstanding. Your coverage over there as far as drone shots, photo finishes, timing and all that is the best in Australia. There's no doubt about it. Probably best in the world. But just to see how Dixon was able to extricate off the fence into the moving line in the first 30 to 50 metres, geez, a pretty ice-cool type of a character, isn't he, in the sulky?
Oh, absolutely. There's probably none better. I think Luke McCarthy and Grant Dixon drive Albion Park better than anyone. Luke's always stated that Albion Park is his favourite track, despite all the success that he's had down there in Sydney at Menangle. And Grant, he's a Queenslander through and through. His father was a legend, and he's been able to continue that trend with the Dixon name in harness racing. It's synonymous. And you're right, it was just ice cool. I wasn't sure what to expect there at the start. There was all that talk in lead up to the race last night. Won't he be able to lead? And he didn't even really engage early in the start. He had a simple plan. He was trying to get off as quickly as possible, and he achieved it in a very short amount of time. But there was no trickery about it. It was just pure driving skill there last night, the way he was able to get to the outside, not cause any interference, put him into the right spot, and then the rest is history. So, yeah, he is ice-cool Grant Dixon, and it was just another perfect drive from him last night.
I love what they've done with this night of harness racing, full stop, Chris. Marty and I have been talking about it through the week. To load it right up with all the best horses in the same spot at the same time, it makes for an incredible evening of harness racing. It's a wonderful showcase for the sport. And the point you just touched on, the Inters are up there for another couple of years. And over here in WA, we have a genuine love affair with this particular race. It means a lot to us in the history of harness racing and racing in general here in WA. So to see a state like Queensland have that same passion and love for it and be invested again for another couple of years, I think it's been a real jab in the arm for this race. And I think accordingly, it's no surprise that there's been a lot more interest in the Inter-Dominions this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Shorty. And I think all the credit must go, in many ways, in my opinion, to David Brick. He's a Racing Queensland administrator, former Victorian. He's been up here in the Sunshine State now for a number of years. And just the way he's been able to tinker and transform our carnival. He gave it a new name, christened it the Constellations. He wanted the stars here in Queensland, shining under the bright lights. And we've been able to achieve that in the last couple of years. Now, taking on the Inter-Dominion, we had it 18 months ago. We ran it during the summer period. It was okay. There's no doubt it was a lot better last night in that winter time slot. I think it proved conclusively that is the right time slot for the Inter-Dominion, because it gives everyone sort of an opportunity to be here in Queensland at this time of the year. We're able to get Kiwis across. There was plenty of interstate representation last night as well. So I think David Brick deserves a lot of credit for the way he's been able to build this carnival. And now to have that Constellations Carnival with the Inter-Dominion at its heart, I think it's a big tick. So we've still got the Summer Carnival to come, and a lot of those big features that we normally see during the winter races, like the Blacks are Fake, the Sunshine Sprint, they get moved to the Summer Carnival. So that significantly bolsters our Summer Carnival, yet we still have this huge sort of peak time right in the middle of the year, highlighted by the Inter-Dominion. I think it's a wonderful move, and it's been well received by a lot of people, in particular the interstaters. They were thriving there last night. It was a perfect winter's night. Got a little bit cool by the end of the night, but a lot of Southerners were just saying, "What's this? This is the middle of winter. We're outside enjoying some great harness racing action and seeing some of the best horses compete." They said, "It probably doesn't get any better than this." So that's a tick, but also we've got to keep in mind this is Queensland and we are the Sunshine State.
Well, no doubt you'll be on our radio station again tomorrow morning with big Matty Young, who was up there calling races on, what was that, Wednesday night? He called a couple. He called that fourth race beautifully. So that was a great experience for the nephew.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great talent, Matty Young. He was able to pop in on Tuesday, do a couple. And
Tuesday, yep.
Good job. I got him back on the Wednesday night to do a few more. So, no, he loved last night. That's the first time he was able to see Leap to Fame in the flesh, and I did catch up with Matty after the Inter-Dominion Grand Final, and he was blown away just by
sheer power, that aura that he's been able to create Leap to Fame. And the locals loved it there last night. When he returned to scale, the scenes were awesome. That the chant was going out. Larry, as he's affectionately known, Leap to Fame. And Matty was just sort of gobsmacked by the fact that, he's just got this huge sort of presence about him. And to be there to watch it last night, he said it's something I won't forget anytime soon.
Yeah, well done, Chris. Your calling's been magnificent, and thanks for coming on our program this morning.
No, pleasure, guys. Anytime. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks, Chris.
On the Aftermath, you are listening to Marty Young and David Shortte right here on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Shorty, we've got to address a few of these texters because they've taken the time. This is Rusty Gates, and I'm not going to do a pipe and say we read them all between. Come on,
between
pipe.
ads.
You've had 550 texts. Come on.
Get them out.
I would suspect that the text line will be full of listeners commenting on the worst rule in the AFL, and that's players being penalised with a 50-metre penalty for running down the field and being within 10 metres of the player who has marked the ball or has been awarded a free kick. I think they call it the protected zone. It also leaves me, and I suspect many other supporters, confused when week after week we see kicks travelling a little more than 10 metres being paid as marks. Last time I checked, the ball has to travel at least 15 metres to be a mark. Also, on the subject of distances, every time a player gets out the back, gathers the ball, runs into an open goal, they seem to run about 25 metres without bouncing the ball. Have time while they are doing this to look back at the player chasing them, show them the ball and finally kick the goal. I don't mind this because it adds to the theory of the game, but I always thought that players could only run 10 metres without bouncing the ball. I'm confused. That is Rusty Gates. There's a few confusing rules out there or interpretations of them, Rusty.
Indeed. And I think the other thing is too, just not having the measuring tape. Different umpires have got different scopes in regards to what 15 metres is.
Yep.
He raises some very good points there, Rusty.
And they're set ready. Racing. La Sagrada jumped quickly on the inside. The favourite's going to drive through and hold the early lead. Formula Fun comes across to second. Out wide was Sunset Comanche and Lone Shark together. Past the judge they go. The leader, La Sagrada, out by 4 lengths in second, Formula Fun, and then followed by Sunset Comanche, who's now a clear third. Last of them was Lone Shark down the back, though. La Sagrada on the arm. Skipped away out by 7 lengths, hunting up on the inside. Sunset Comanche with Formula Fun together, then followed by Lone Shark. But look at her go, La Sagrada on the home corner, races clear. She's in a world of her own, and La Sagrada stops the clock at a time of 34.19. Second, Formula Fun. Third in Sunset Comanche.
Steaming hot performance from La Sagrada there last night in the Full of Fitness Mixed Grade 4 and 5 Series. Heat trainer, co-trainer Steve Shinners joins us this morning on the Aftermath. Welcome to you, Steve, and congratulations. That was an absolute demolition job there last night from La Sagrada. You would have been delighted with that effort.
Yeah, morning, Shorty. Morning, Marty. Yeah, it's been a bit of a frustrating few months. Unfortunately, she split a webbing open and hurt her toe in that final that she was in the Miata, and it happened on the first corner, so it was a massive effort to even nearly still get up. And, yeah, I've had a couple of issues getting her back and, just taking her time with her. And, yeah, look, the race came up a little bit quick for me last night. We're just trying to set her for the Nationals distance. And, yeah, so, look, I've probably only classed her as probably about 80% fit, 85% fit for a 600. So to run that was massive. But, yeah, she's been airborne in a trial. She broke the record over the 380 only about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but they don't go much better than that. So, yeah, no, she's come back super.
Well, how impressive is that? You've got a greyhound that's has proven now that it's a 700-metre dog breaking 380-metre records. It shows you just the sustained speed from a greyhound like La Sagrada. Of course, it's no surprise, member of a really hot litter sister, Miss Envy. What's the latest on Miss Envy, Steve?
Yeah, well, we had a bit of a setback with her. We were heading to Queensland, and unfortunately the trial situation didn't work out for us. And then just after that, she came on season, and then she hurt her leg. We don't know what she did, but it was just a frustrating thing. So it set us back 3 or 4 weeks, and she just had her first trial last week and went really good. So, yeah, she's just in a bit of a rush to get up to the Nationals as well, try and defend the title. But, yeah, all going well. She has no setbacks. We should have her into the heats, but she probably won't be able to get a race under her belt before then. But, yeah, look, she's come back good, and, yeah, it'd be nice to fly the flag with the both girls.
Gee, the 3 winners of the heats all performed well last night. It's going to be a terrific final, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It'll probably come down to box draw. So hopefully we get a bit of luck with a box draw in the final. We're usually stuck out in 6, 7 or 8 all the time. So it'd be nice to draw one when we need it. But yeah, look, there's some pretty high quality dogs over here at the moment. So whoever gets up there, it'll be probably a very good nationals coming up, I'd imagine, in 3-4 weeks for the 700. So we soon have some really good stays around at the moment.
Indeed, and La Sagrada is certainly one of those. Steve, we really appreciate you picking up the phone to have a chat with us this morning on the Aftermath. Continued success for your kennel.
No worries. Thanks, Shorty. Thanks, Marty.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Shorty.
All the best, Marty. Good luck, punters.